everyone. I'm Dr. Basanna Patagundi, Professor and Head of the Department of MBA at Cambridge Institute of Technology, Bangalore. This video captures Module 3 of course on organizational leadership for MBA 4th semester students of Visvesvaraya Technological University teaching scheme of 2018. Module 3 of organizational leadership course has broadly 3 areas. The first area covers leadership styles. The second area covers motivational theories. The third area covers leadership theories and modules. This video, we are going to discuss about various leadership styles that exists. Let's begin with understanding the basic definition of leadership style. The leadership style is the combination of traits, skills, and behaviors of leaders which they use when they interact with the followers. It's very important for us to understand the leadership style because the leadership style has an impact on the behavior. The behavior indicates the kind of interactions that he or she as a leader has with the team. The behavior again gets connected with the traits, various personality types that were discussed earlier, be it MBTI, be it Big Five personality. The kind of personality types and the traits that an individual has a greater impact on the behavior. So to be effective leader, we need to understand what kind of styles that exist and what kind of a style that an individual should or must have to be effective leader. There are a lot of research that has been done and it's still going on. But if anybody asks which leadership style is appropriate, we cannot say this is the only leadership style that works effectively. The leadership style purely depends on the context, it purely depends on an individual, it also depends on the followers too. Those things we will discuss in the third part of this module on leadership models and theory. So it is imperative for us to understand what are the different research that have been taken place in the leadership style and understand various methods that were adopted to understand the leadership style. To begin with, we look at the research that was conducted by LEWIN in the University of Iowa in the year 1930. During the same time, everyone started realizing the importance of the behavioral aspect. Till then, the focus was more on productivity. How do I drive the productivity? As most of us know, these two categories of leadership style, one is autocratic leadership style, the second one is democratic leadership style. In autocratic leadership style, the leader makes a decision and he imposes those decisions on the team members. And he not only imposes, he closely monitors the employees to ensure that the work is done. But whereas democratic leadership style, the leader considers, encourages participation, and considers the opinion from all the team members, and they take a collective decision. The moment you have a collective decision, then it becomes the responsibility of everyone whosoever is involved in decision making. So that is the democratic leadership style that traditionally we all know about it. The next theory that we are going to talk about is the theory which was developed in University of Michigan, which was the research was led by one of the well-known researchers, René Likert. Basically, the team created a questionnaire called the Survey of Organization and conducted interviews to gather data on leadership styles. The ultimate goal of this particular research was to classify the leaders as effective and ineffective by comparing the behavior of leaders from high producing units and low producing units. The other objective that they kept in mind was to determine reasons for being an effective leader. The researchers, after they did the survey and collected the data, they identified two styles of leadership behavior which they classified as either job-centered or employee-centered. The job-centered focuses more on the leader for getting work done by the team members, and the leader takes the charge of the entire job to be done, and he closely directs the subordinates on their roles and the goals to be achieved through the task. Well, the manager tells them what to do and how to do as they work towards the goal achievement. But whereas employee-centered leadership style is more of having that supportive leadership and interactive facilitation amongst the team members. Employee-centered behavior refers to the extent to which the leader focuses on meeting the human needs of employees while developing the relationship. Well, it is quite simple for us to understand either job-centered or employee-centered. But let's look at to what extent we have understood and try to classify various statements that we have and understand either the approach is job-centered or employee-centered. The first statement is the manager is influencing the follower to do the job in the way leader wants it done. This is quite obvious that it is job-centered because here the manager clearly defines what has to be done and he's trying to influence the follower. The second one, the manager just calculated the monthly sales report and is sending it to all the sales representatives so they know if they met their quota. Again, this is job-centered because here the ultimate goal of achieving the target, sales target, is shared with the team. Third one, the leader is saying a warm, friendly good morning to followers as they arrive at work. This is typically employee-centered. Basically, the manager would like to have a good rapport with the team's members and have good relationship. Fourth one, the manager is in his or her office developing plans for the department. Again, it is more of task focused. So obviously it could be job-centered approach. Fifth one, the leader is seeking ideas from followers on a decision he or she has to make. This is quite obvious that it is employee-centered because the manager is trying to take the opinion from the followers or the team members to take a decision. The next model that we are going to talk about is the model developed at Ohio State University. The Ohio State University has had a research board which developed a standard questionnaire or an instrument which was called as Leader Behavior Description Questionnaire LBDQ. And it had about 150 examples of definitive leader behavior. And then they narrowed it down to about 1,800 leadership functions. Respondents to the questionnaire perceived their leaders' behavior towards them on two distinct dimensions or leadership styles or types, which the researchers eventually classified as initiating structure behavior or consideration behavior. The initiating structure leadership style is essentially similar to the job-centered leadership style, which we discussed earlier. It purely focuses on getting the task done or the work done. But whereas consideration behavior focuses on leadership style, which is essentially same as the employee-centered leadership style, it focuses more on meeting people's needs and developing good human relationship with the team. So these two dimensions are considered to identify about 4 quadrants, and depending on the style that the leader has, either he focuses on the job or does he focus on the relationship. Based on that, either it could be low structure and low consideration, it could be high structure and low consideration, or it could be high structure and high consideration, or it could be low structure and high consideration. Depending on the style that the leader has, the entire team conducts the work. The next model that we are going to discuss is one of the significant models that was developed in late 1960s by two researchers, the name Robert Blake and Jane Mountain. It was called as managerial grid, which was developed by them at University of Texas. Later on, they revived, they updated the theory, they reworked on various components, and in early 1990s, the leadership grid was identified, and another researcher joined the team. Mackenzie was one of the team members there who sort of considered as replaced Morton soon after he passed away in 1987. The leadership grid has identified about 5 different styles which can be looked at. The first one, the impoverished leader, where he or she has low concern for production and low concern for people. Here, the focus is neither on people nor on production, just to save the job. Whatever job demands, whatever is the bare minimum that an individual can do, that individual performs and focuses on both trying to get the minimum things done. The second one, we call it as authority compliance leader. As the name itself suggests, it is more on getting the work done. He has low concern for people. He emphasizes more on getting the work done, irrespective of the relationship that he or she has with the team. The third classification that we have is country club leader. As the name itself suggests, that he has high concern for people and low concern for production or the task. So that's why the name itself says country club leader, where he wants to have a very good atmosphere, friendly atmosphere, doesn't really bother much about the production. Then we have middle of the road leader who tries to balance both performance through the productivity, as well as he tries to have a good relationship, which is called as middle of the road leader. The last one, we call it as team leader, and the researchers, Robert Blake, Mountain, and Mackenzie, found that this is more appropriate in all the situations where the leader is able to focus both on concern for production as well as concern for people. Many a times, this question is asked by my students saying that, sir, is it possible that we will have both concern for production and concern for people? It is definitely possible. I conducted a small survey using a standard questionnaire trying to assess an individual, does he have concern for people or does he has more concern for production? Surprisingly, our students, most of them had highest score for concern for production. But when we orally interact with the students, all of them, very rarely that we find this kind of a response when we talk to them orally, most of them would say that we should have more concern for people, because if we take care of the people, then the task can be completed. But it was a different result that we got, where the scores were more on concern for production. Now, what does this indicate? This indicates that we are internally driven to make sure that the task is completed, but at the same time, naturally we have concern for people. We would like to consider them. We would like to have a good relationship with them. We'd like to accommodate whatever are the shortcomings or whatever constraints that an individual has, we try to address, as well as we try to ensure that the work is done. So this means that we can definitely achieve the team leader style, where we have both concern for production and concern for people. So these are some of the important models that we have when it comes to leadership styles. We are going to discuss about motivation theories in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video on leadership styles.